Good morning. It is 7:05 or 7:04-ish, 7:05. I'm still getting myself together. The lighting has become a little bit more challenging for me, but I appreciate how all of you allow me to get in here and just still get myself together. I definitely appreciate that. Just want to thank you for joining me today, whether you watch me live or you watch me later. Know that you are appreciated. I just get such warm feedback, and I appreciate all of the messaging and notes that I receive from everybody, letting me know about the topics that they like, situations that they're going through. So just know that I value each and every one of you for joining me, for the love that you give me and the support that you give me on this platform. So today's topic is about excuses, obstacles, and discipline. And I've been working on this for a while. And really it comes from just, again, a lot of things in my own personal experience, but it really just also comes from listening to people who are really wanting to make change. And there's stages of change. And I think we've talked about that before, but if not, I'm more than happy to talk about that again, about the pre-contemplation stage and what does that really mean. And, you know, people want to think that change just happens overnight. And a lot of times we have excuses or we have obstacles that get in our way. And they're two different things. And we're going to get into that. And then how do we build that discipline? And what exactly is discipline? And so let's just dive on in. Okay, so excuses, obstacles, and discipline are interconnected elements in our personal growth. And it helps with our achievement. Excuses often arise when we face obstacles. I'm going to say that right, obstacles, while discipline is the key to overcoming them. Discipline allows us to push past our excuses and develop a strong solution-oriented mindset to tackle the challenges or obstacles that come before us. And so when we think about those three different entities, they have three different definitions. Obstacles are the external challenges or problems that can stand in our way of achieving a goal. Excuses are internal justifications for not taking actions or making or not making a decision to overcome those obstacles. So obstacles are external, excuses are internal. And discipline is the self-control and the ability to navigate and follow through with our actions despite the discomfort or the challenges, often focusing on the long-term goal. And we're going to break those down and how those relate in a few, but those are the distinctions. It's that obstacles, external, excuses, internal, and the discipline is the ability to follow through despite the obstacles or the discomfort that you may be feeling. So how do they relate? Excuses prevent actions. Excuses are the mental constructs that avoid action. So when we make excuses, again, that's an internal process. What we're doing is we're avoiding making that decision. We're avoiding taking the action to confront some of our trauma-based behaviors or decisions. That's when we are choosing to avoid going to the gym. We're avoiding anything that's going to make us feel discomfort. So excuses are the mental constructs that avoid action, while discipline fosters action. Discipline provides the mental fortitude to recognize your excuse, acknowledge the responsibility, and take steps necessary to achieve that goal. So when we have excuses, or I'm not feeling it today, or so-and-so did it again, this internal process. Discipline, although excuses wants us to prevent the action, discipline fosters the action. So discipline says in that moment, well, I'm making an excuse, but discipline will say, but even though it's discomfort, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this decision. Obstacles can be opportunities. It's the idea that challenges and setbacks can be valuable in learning experiences and often can be a catalyst for our growth, rather focusing on just a solely negative event. And discipline allows us to see those obstacles as challenge, to overcome them. Viewing obstacles as an opportunity to unlock our creativity and problem-solving skills. By reframing how we perceive those obstacles, we can unlock our potential for innovation, resilience, and ultimately success. So when we interconnect them together, excuses are this internal process that we don't want to avoid action. Obstacles can be seen as an opportunity, but in each area between obstacles with excuses and obstacles, discipline allows us to reframe. This obstacle is not just a negative one. It's an opportunity for some growth, for me to move even closer to my goal. And with excuses, discipline will move us from inaction to action. So here's an example. A person wants to lose weight, but makes excuses like, I'm too tired to exercise, or I don't have time to cook healthy meals. Those are excuses. Discipline would involve recognizing these as simply obstacles and make conscious decisions to prioritize exercise and eating healthy despite feeling busy or tired. So in that scenario, an excuse is, I'm too tired to exercise. An obstacle may be, I don't have a car, so I can't get to the gym. But discipline would say, okay, I may not, I'm too tired to exercise, and the obstacle is I don't have a car, but I can get on but discipline would say, there's free videos on YouTube. There's free videos on Prime. I can walk around the house. I can put on my favorite music and dance around the house. I don't have to go anywhere. So that's how they're interconnected. Yes, excuses stop us from inaction, but discipline will look at that obstacle and say, even with that obstacle, I'm going to be committed to it. Hello and happy Friday, Renee. Y'all know I love me some Renee Spencer. I'm going to make it to your house. I'm on vacation next week, so I may just drive by. I do that a lot of times. I just drive down the street, Renee. So, but I'm definitely going to try to make it up there next week. So, now that we know the three areas, we're going to break them down and talk about how each area impacts us. So first, excuses. Excuses are fabricated illusions. Excuses are often created to justify inaction or avoid taking responsibility. I love you. I love you the most. So, fabricated illusions. Excuses are often created to justify inaction or avoid taking responsibility. Do you know anybody like that? They've got an excuse for everything. And really, when you begin to think of it as not, you realize that excuses are an internal reason to not to make action, not to make those choices. So, excuses are a fabricated illusion. Often, and 90% of the time, excuses are rooted in fear. Fear of failure, judgment, discomfort can often lead to making excuses. I know somebody that I work with, that I'm doing coaching with, and they want to go to the gym, but they're very, very concerned about their size. Now that's an obstacle. It's combined with an excuse because it's an excuse because it's a fear. And that excuse is based in a fear. But I don't want to go to the gym because people are going to laugh at me. The gym is where people go to lose weight. But even if so there may be an obstacle for you out of your fear, you can still work out at home. So a lot of times when we make excuses, it's rooted in fear. Also, excuses are very disempowering because relying on excuses keeps individuals stuck and hinders progress. How many of us know people who are still making excuses for their life and they're dang 60 years old? When we continue to make excuses about why we can't change, again, understanding that excuses are internal, that we rely on these excuses, we get stuck, we don't grow, we can't move. We allow the fear of not making that excuse or not making that move to keep us stuck in the past, and it hinders our progress. We can't move forward. Excuses become self-fulfilling. Excuses can reinforce negative beliefs and lead to a lack of progress, thus fulfilling the initial fear. So when we keep making excuses about things, we continue to reinforce negative beliefs. Nobody's gonna like me. I'm not gonna be able to lose weight. I'm too tired. I'm too sick. Guess what? Then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now you are too tired. Now you do feel sick. So excuses can become self-fulfilling. Also, lastly, excuses prevent insight. Chronic use of excuses can block a person from understanding the root of their problem. Nothing is ever going to change in your life if you don't get to the root of it. Understanding your why. Why am I stuck in this excuse? What am I fearful of? What have I been taught? What has my trauma allowed me to believe about myself that I cannot accomplish this thing, have this relationship, change this job? Again, understanding excuses are internal. What is it that I'm telling myself? What message am I that someone told me when I was young that I continue to reinforce in my own mind that keeps me stuck in these excuses? When we get that way, it can block us from understanding the root of that problem, the root of that excuse. So now that we understand what excuses are, the internal, the obstacles are external. Obstacles are real hurdles or obstacles that arise during the process. Obstacles are genuine problems, challenges, or difficulties that happen through our life journey. A divorce, a death of a parent or a loved one, a job loss, a health diagnosis. Things that we didn't plan for at that moment, and we are completely taken off guard. So, I had a plan for my life. I was going to retire from urban housing. That was my plan. Then my mama got sick, and that plan changed. And that was not something that was internal. That was an external thing, and I had to make choices. I don't regret the choice, but it fundamentally changed my life. I got married and got divorced. I had no intention of getting divorced, none, but I did. Those are external things that fundamentally changes our life, and they arise through our process of life. But obstacles often require effort. Addressing the roadblocks or the obstacles in our life means we need to take action and find solutions. So when obstacles come, it requires action. Again, when the internal, when we have excuses, we just don't take action. But when it's external, when it's an obstacle, it requires us a necessity to take action to find a solution. Obstacles are also opportunities for growth. Even though they're difficult, they can be opportunities to learn and grow and develop coping strategies. Again, we can't control what happens to us, but we have the ultimate control of what we do about it. I may not be able to choose being in a car accident in September of 2024, but what I do about it, my recovery, how I handle it, the decisions I made, that is on me. Also, understand that obstacles are part of the process. Overcoming obstacles is a natural part of working toward goals and making progress in your life. So when you have a roadblock, when you have obstacles in your life, that's part of the process. And so it's how we grow through them that allow us to become better versions of ourselves, that helps us develop that resiliency. That's what I was trying to say. Develop that resiliency, that girth in us that helps us propel forward. And lastly, obstacles require problem-solving skills and actions. Unlike excuses, roadblocks and obstacles necessitate a proactive approach to overcome them and to move forward. So when we are faced with obstacles and challenges, it requires action. And unfortunately, we live in a society now that a lot of people, when they face obstacles that are external, we make them internal and they become excuses. And now we don't, this happened to me because God doesn't love me. Or I'm going through these hard times because I'm a bad person. This person left me because somehow or another I was unworthy of love. That can get into those dangerous territories when we start taking the external and making it internal. And as someone who has done that, took what was happening to me and made it a part of my DNA. I allowed some of my trauma that occurred to me, I didn't ask for it, but to become part of my bone marrow and made it and tried to make it who I was. That was one of the greatest challenges I've learned through my own growth, my own therapy, my own process. Is I had really had to learn that what was happening to me didn't make it me. That happened to me, but I'm not that thing, I'm not that person, I'm not that situation. And so one of the key things that when we understand the difference between excuses and obstacles, understanding that what happens to you doesn't make it you, but then you don't make an excuse to not move. So the key differences in their impacts: action versus inaction. Excuses are rooted in inaction, stopping movement toward your goals, while obstacles are problems that you can engage to take action. The outcome, both can lead to a lack of progress because excuses imply just giving up, while obstacles frame the challenges as delays that can be overcome. So there's the distinction. The outcome, when you look at excuses, it can be, both of them can lead to a lack of process, but the excuse is the inaction. I just give up. I quit. I'm not going to do it no more. I quit. Versus an obstacle, change that framework means there's a delay. I quit versus there's a delay. There's power in that. But you understand with the delay, I'm still going to overcome it. And how discipline plays a part in all of that is the true meaning of discipline extends beyond punishment or control, because that's a lot of times what people think it is. Discipline is training, teaching, and developing self-control to achieve your desired outcome. It involves making choices on long-term goals rather than short-term impulses, and constantly and consistently following through with the actions that align with your goals. Discipline is not about restriction, but it's about empowering yourself to reach your full potential. And so when we stop looking at discipline as, well, this is what I can't do, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. No, discipline is freedom. Discipline says, I'm empowered to do what's best for me. Amen. Discipline says, I don't have to go down that rabbit hole of self-pity, low self-worth. I don't have to do that. I'm empowered to do what's best for me. Discipline says, I don't have to pick up that cookie to eat my emotions. Discipline says, I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to cry. I'm going to yell. I'm going to scream. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to process this emotion, but I'm not going to stuff it, not anymore. Self-discipline says, I have a right to be happy. I don't have to stay in a situation, job, whatever, where I'm demeaned. So discipline isn't just about what you can't do. Discipline is what you can do. Discipline is freedom. Discipline moves you beyond the I'm restricted to just eating this and that to I'm free to eat what I want. I'm free. I just choose to do and make those decisions that are going to take me where I want to go. And when I tell you, that was one of the biggest mind shifts I ever had. When I moved from thinking of what I can't, discipline says I can't do it, to discipline says I can do it all. Discipline says I have the ability in me to reach my goals. I have to continuously make the decisions to get me there. But discipline isn't about what restricts me. Discipline is about what propels me forward. So how can you have that discipline? How can we move beyond excuses, internal, and deal with our obstacles, external? You know me, I like some good tips. Number one, self-honesty and acknowledgement. Becoming aware of your excuses and your underlying reason for them. Listen, it is not a bad thing to say I'm fearful of something. I'm afraid to step out and try this something new. I admire my client who says I'm afraid to go to the gym because I don't want to be laughed at. My self-esteem can't take that. I've been picked on and laughed at my whole life. I don't know if I can handle it. That I celebrate that because you're acknowledging that fear. Now, how can we overcome it? How can we recognize that that's an external feeling, internal feeling, And how can we move beyond that? Because no matter what size you are, you're worthy, you're beautiful, you're special. How can we develop that self-love? So when we have self-honesty and acknowledgement, we become aware of our excuses and we can get to the root of those. Number 2, challenging those limiting beliefs. Identify and reframe negative thought that fuel your excuses. So when you begin to have those negative thoughts, and we do have them, it's identifying and reframing them. I'm not worthy. I am worthy. I'm scared. I'm uncomfortable of a new situation, but I'm willing to step out and move out of my fear. Whenever those negative self-thoughts come, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm stretching my neck. I don't want to sound like they never come, because they do. No matter how much work you've done, no matter how much you've pressed forward, negative thoughts come. They just do. But how do we reframe them to fuel, instead of fueling our excuses, we douse them? Number 3, developing self-discipline and accountability. Committing to taking the action and seeking that support. I started working out on Mondays with with 2 of my other girlfriends, and anybody, you want to join us, please do. It's that accountability that I know I'm going to see them on Monday. It's something about taking that action. I fuss about Josh a lot, my trainer, but I'm committed to taking that action. It's that commitment that has seen me through. I'm telling you, if I wasn't working out when my mama was sick, that was the only stress reliever I had the whole time I was caretaking for my mama. And so being able to have that self-discipline and that accountability, I knew that somebody was looking for me 3 days a week. I had gym friends, my best friends at the gym. I had people looking for me. Every Friday coming on here, I know that Renee is going to hold me accountable, not just for my show, but for my life, because she loves me. So finding those support systems, people who are going to hold you accountable for what you want to go through or what you're going through. And lastly, number 4, practicing mindfulness, becoming more aware of your thoughts and your behaviors. When people practice mindfulness, they have this idea that you're sitting in a room with your arms folded and you're chanting. And that might be one of the ways you practice mindfulness. There's a way to do guided meditation that way, or guided mindfulness. But to me, everyday mindfulness is, I'm in the car, somebody cuts me off. Am I going to blow my horn, or am I just going to let it go? Am I going to play cat and mouse and in and out of traffic, or am I just going to slow down and take my time? Am I going to do things that's going to accelerate my own, my own anxiety, or am I going to step back and just be like, you know what, you can have it? Am I going to choose to keep my peace in moments of chaos? That's practicing mindfulness on a day-to-day basis. Making that decision in that moment, being aware of what I'm telling myself and my thoughts and my behaviors, that's practicing mindfulness on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis. But the core distinction between excuses and obstacles lies in intent and responsibility. Excuses seek to free you from guilt or blame, while facing your challenges means taking on that responsibility for navigating the challenges in your life. In conclusion, while obstacles are genuine challenges to be navigated, excuses are often self-created barriers that prevent us from starting that journey of change. Recognizing that distinction is a crucial step toward effective life changes and achieving your own goal. Again, excuses prevent progress, while discipline empowers us to overcome those obstacles and achieve our goals. And by developing discipline, we can move ever so closely to moving our lives beyond excuses and actively living the life we've been called to live. Jump in the chat, let me know what you think about the differences between excuses, obstacles, and the discipline. I'm thinking about doing just a whole show on excuses. I've actually just done a lot of research. There's a lot of great information about excuses. There also information that how excuses affect the brain. And so I may do that at some point, but also I'm open. If you have suggestions for a topic, please let me know, because we at 7:30 and I'm not going to keep y'all any longer than that. I do want to give my 2 love notes. My first love note goes to the magnificent, the wonderful, my auntie, Anita Arline. She's always had my back and supports me no matter what. And I want the world to know how valuable she is. And she is loved by me and so many others. So to a love note to my Aunt Anita, I love you. I appreciate you. She's just a rock. I couldn't have made it. I don't know why I'm so emotional. I couldn't have made it taking care of my mama without my auntie. I just couldn't have done it. And my second love note goes to my sister Beth. I think I've told this story before, but she's the reason, one of the reasons, besides Renee, she's one of the reasons why I'm a great basketball player. I used to go down to Sevier Park and play when I was a kid, and Beth used to fill up a milk jug. She'd fill it up with water and put it in the freezer for me. So I would have water every day when I went to go play. And when I thought I was in love once, when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and there's another story to that, but I thought I was in love. And I remember my sister telling me, she said, if he likes you, she said, you're good at basketball, stay focused on that. If he likes you, he'll be around. I remember that. And I still kept playing ball. And she told me to focus on basketball, not that boy. And turns out she was right. So my basketball took me way further than that boy ever would. So love note to my Aunt Anita and love note to my sister Beth. And today's reading is my girl, Blooming Bear. And here's her book, her poem, Purpose Perspective. It's tempting to get caught up in the emotions of our experiences. We feel overtaken by the wrongs we've done or the wrongs that have been done to us. Even when we feel we are moving forward, the progress is short-lived because we're always reverting back to the pain, shame, or anger. It doesn't have to be this way. If we choose to see each experience as a lesson, we will see that all pain has worked and can work for an opportunity to grow. Choose to see how much you've grown from that point. Understand that wisdom often comes from experience and that everything in the past was needed for you to become the person you are today. Stop giving your power to pain. Let the pain propel you. One of my favorites. And I want to thank y'all for joining me today. I'm sorry I ran over a little late, but I hope this information is beneficial for you as we continue to grow toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. Be on the lookout. The Girlfriends with Brunch is coming up. So be looking out for that. That's coming up soon. I've also got a couple other things I'll be sending out. So be on the lookout for that. But moreover, just continue to let's lift each other up in prayer. Let's continue to wish the best for each other, because know that I love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. Okay? Hope everybody has a great Friday and a great weekend. See y'all next week.